100 Days Collective.
This is Take Two.
DRock, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited about this.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, same. So, how are you feeling?
I'm good. Last week I was a little bit under the weather, and this week I'm feeling a lot better. Just got back from the gym, so
Go
feel
on.
great.
Exactly. When it comes, so like obviously you're working for Gary Vee and all that kind of stuff. Let's go back a little bit. When did all of this start out for you in the freelance space?
Yeah, I mean, I moved to New York probably 12 to 13 years ago. With not a dollar to my name. I lived in my sister's basement in Staten Island. I'm from Pennsylvania, so it was like a two hour away from home. Lived with my oldest sister in her basement. And then I just started hustling. I started grinding. I was on Craigslist, Indeed.com, whatever job board websites there were out there. I was always applying, always trying to get um, freelance work. And then, I did that. I did freelance probably for like 4 to 5 years
Yeah.
before I started committing and working with Gary.
Was New York always in mind for you, or were you actually raised there?
Well, it's funny. I've always wanted to go to like the New York Film Academy, or I was thinking about Full Sail down in Florida, which is a big film school as well. But my family couldn't afford that, and I couldn't afford it, and I didn't want to go into debt. So New York ended up being the place I wanted to come because I met a girl, and her and I started dating, and she was in New York, so it just made it very easy. And then I had family here, so it just made it very easy. It was like New York, Florida, or LA, really,
Yeah.
were my three choices.
Okay, so how old were you at that age again?
I was 19.
So 19, living in your sister's basement in New York City.
Yep.
What?
In Staten Island, which is like a little bit further out, but it's still New
Okay.
York.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what was that like for you, like your headspace in that moment in time?
Honestly, it was like I had just graduated. I had a 2 year degree in radio, TV broadcasting from my community college out in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And so I had just graduated. I was excited for the future. I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want a full time job anywhere, so I was gonna like freelance, try to become a director. I started working on a bunch of like independent films for free. I did internships and all this stuff. And then yeah, I guess mentally I was fine. Like I loved figuring it out. I actually like love that part so much that I like kind of wish I could go back and do it again because it's just fun. Like no rules. You're setting your own time. You're working for yourself. You set your own rates. No expectations from anybody else other than your clients. So for me, it was fun. I like that challenge.
Yeah. Okay. And where was it fairly easy for you to start picking up on clients, or was it kind of like tough
No,
at
it
first?
wasn't easy. I mean, I only had my portfolio from school, so I didn't have like a professional working portfolio. And then I didn't know anybody. I had no connections in the industry, no connections anywhere. And so all I did was literally it was on Craigslist posting 3, 4 times a day of like, hey, you need a wedding video editor? Do you need a Kickstarter video? Do you need a freelance videographer and editor? Do you need just an editor? And I was making these ads all the time. I often think that like if Instagram was around at the time, I'd probably be doing the same thing, just putting my portfolio out on Instagram and then just like keep advertising myself. I definitely innately had like marketing skills. I was always testing the titles of like the ads, changing them, keeping the body pretty much the same, but changing up the titles, trying to get different people to like see my ad. And then I would also like change up graphics and make graphics as well to kind of like help market myself. Eventually I started getting a base of clients that would come back to me reoccurring. And then no, not really. It wasn't easy at all.
Yeah.
I actually even picked up a part-time job at Best Buy. So like working at
Okay.
Best Buy overnight, helping stock and restock the store, which is like it's like an electronics store. I don't know if you guys have it out in
No, we
Dublin,
don't
but
have Best Buy.
it's like an electronics
Yeah.
store where you buy TVs and all that stuff. So
Okay.
I was working in Best Buy, I had gotten this one video editing gig that was all the way out in Long Island, and so I didn't have a car at the time. I would take a bus into the city, a train. Oh, I'm sorry, a bus to the ferry over to the city. The city, I would take a train all the way down to Long Island, which would be another hour. And so it was like a 3 hour there and 3 hour back commute. It was a long trek. I did that for about 2 weeks, and I was like, this is just not worth it at all. And then I remember like one job in particular, as soon as I started moving, I lived with my sister and her family for about 8 or 9 months. As soon as I moved out, I moved to Queens, and I remember like I was on my own. Like I would eat with them, and they were super gracious hosts, and they would help out a lot. Um, but then I was like, oh fuck, I'm actually on my own. Moved into this guy's apartment in Queens, had my own one bedroom, like bedroom on the side. But I had to eat myself and everything. I knew how to cook, so I wasn't that worried. But I was eating like pasta, like a
Pot
dollar 99
noodles.
pasta, or like bread, just to like really survive. But then I remember this one gig. They were a restaurant app coming up. They were like developing this restaurant app, and they offered, hey, if you make these quick 1 minute videos about each of these restaurants, we'll give you $20
Okay.
and a meal.
Shit.
And I was like, yo, you got me a meal, It was funny, like, even looking back at it, $20, no one does videos for $20 right now. But I was doing that back in the day, just to kind of build up my portfolio, also get a decent meal, and then, like, grind on the side.
Exactly. What year is this exactly?
It had to be well, I was 19, so at 20, so it had to be 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
2012, so
Yeah,
something
2012.
like that.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's so
Yeah.
weird when like you look back on time, like even just like 10 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
where like the difference and
Different, 100%. And by the way, like, it's funny. Yeah, go ahead. Let's move forward from this.
no, as if carry on. It's about you.
No, I'm just gonna say, like, that's the part I think a lot of people have a hard time dealing with and have a hard time measuring. Like, time is, even though, like, life is short in a way, you have
Hmm.
one, so you want to maximize your time, time itself is longer than we think.
It
So
is.
sometimes, like, just balancing that when you're like, when you have big ambitions like mine, where I want it to be a film director, I want it to, like, make awesome, epic movies, we often rush and think we have to do it now. Where, like, the biggest takeaway I would say is, like, try to context. Right, you just said 10 years ago. Try to context where you are in your life and where you were 10 years ago. Think about how much has happened in those last 10 years. And then if you can, try to take yourself third eye and be like, yo, how can I map these next 10 years to like really maximize my time, but also have a good time living life and also like have a little bit more patience in the goals that you want to achieve,
Hmm.
you know?
I see. And so let's say like you 10 years ago, right? Was your vision being a film director in
Yeah,
your
I only
20s?
wanted to work in film and movies and TV, and then what ended up happening was I got a job as a production assistant and a PA on this film, A Case of You, which was a really fun experience. Like I had never done that before, never worked on a film set before. Justin Long, he's this like actor. He was like that iMac guy. I don't know if you ever saw those like commercials. And he's in a lot of rom coms, in New Girl once in a while. But he wrote and directed the whole thing and was acting in it as well. So that was a really fun experience. I got to meet him, got to know him, got to like had to be up at like 3:30 in the morning to be on set by 4:30. Like we worked 13, 14 hour days. What I ended up realizing, and then I started working on this other production, Carrie Diaries, which is like sets in the city when she was younger. It was like the prequel. They tried to do the show. It was okay, but what I ended up watching was like a lot of times you had to be a PA and then just work your way up through the ranks. And a lot of the times, people that were working on these sets were not like passionate about it. So I was like, I think that I want to go into like filmmaking from the other angle. I want to like build up myself as a director, and then get hired into a film versus like working up my way through the ranks that way. Because I just didn't want to be around negative people, which there's a lot of negative people on sets. And then I didn't see myself working in film like that. I
Yeah.
see myself working and being in a film or working and directing a film or creating my own vision and masterpiece, you know?
Exactly. It's so strange, right? Because I kind of speak about this with a few guests where right now with social media, right, we're seeing success happen overnight
Every day.
on
Every
a
day.
daily
Every
basis.
minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's nearly as if that's the story that's being sold to us, where it's kind of
Well,
like,
listen, I think what you're watching is different people at different context times in their life.
hmm, bingo. Yeah.
You know,
And
like you're watching, you're looking at it and be like, oh, I wish I could have that, or I wish I could be there now.
mhm.
That we're not being sold anything. People are just showing what they're doing, and we're having a bad time taking it as wait. They've also did these things along the way to get to where they are.
Yeah.
You gotta like remove yourself from Instagram or TikTok, and you gotta just hustle and grind. You know,
Yeah. Have you ever struggled with comparison?
all the time, every day.
Yeah.
But also like, but again, like to what, to who? You know, I think we often as humans will struggle with that because it's just inherent nature. Like even when you're like cavemen, if someone had a better cave or a better like throck, like whatever those like canes when they hit
Yeah,
people,
literally.
then you're jealous of that too. You know, like I think that's an inherent nature thing in us. Um, but also like what I've learned to like realize is like literally everybody's life is so different. Every single context point. Me and my sisters, I have three sisters. We're all different.
And same deal.
Similar
Yeah.
upbringing, similar,
Yeah,
all different.
exactly.
Same house, different, you know?
Yeah.
So I think, and then also like what that person listens to on an everyday basis. I think, you know, I'm like what you said, Dublin is like the mini New York. New York City, when I'm sitting in the subways, I'm looking at people. I just like watch people. I see their sneakers, what they're wearing, head like everyone has so many different things that they care about, and so there's no room for comparison. You know.
Literally. Exactly. Oof. I'm
And then
getting
also,
sound bites off of you, D-Rock, right now. Like,
and then also, as you evolve, your priorities change. What you want is very different. You know, even like, me, Gary, and Andy had a very fun conversation a week and a half ago in LA. He looked at me in the face and was like, hey, we need to hire you, but like 5 years ago, not you now because you're different. Not in a bad way, but you've evolved, you've done a lot of time in your career, you're in a different spot, and we still need to find a young, hungry, really like wanting to grind their face off kind of people, you know? And I think as I evolve, I don't want to fly and work 19-hour days every day of the week anymore. I like the balance that COVID has given us. Where like I am able to work out every day. I am able to sleep better. I am able to hang out with friends. Able to see my family, and then also work. But also there's other priorities that come in at different points in your life and career. You know, if I do get married one day, I'm gonna want to spend time with my kids. I am
definitely.
that person. I want to be home with them. You
For
know,
sure.
so like and that changes your ambition and your goals each week and each day. You know.
All the time. And it's okay to embrace that change as well, I'm guessing, too.
That's life.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah. Like, you never want to be that person that's stuck in the past. Like, the back in my day person at the table is usually the one that people kind of want to, like, steer away from because you kind of
Yeah,
have to embrace.
again, I think we're all. I think you're gonna have a conversation. Hey, back in my day when I did this podcast, I started for free. You didn't have any sponsors, and then eventually you're gonna like have them, and then
Hmm.
you're gonna be in a different place in your life, and it'll be different. You
Yeah.
know,
Uh-huh.
it will be back in my like the stories of back in my day are learning experiences for everybody else.
For sure. For sure.
You know.
And just like learning from the past and bringing it to the future with you as well and
Correct.
letting
I think a
go.
lot of people, if they are looking back in the past, they're rubbernecking and like hoping that everything would be the same, and it's just not how life works. Life is constantly moving forward.
For sure. Yeah. When it comes to hunger, right? What do you think the main no, it's not even an issue, but what some people might tell you right now that hunger is kind of lacking, which could go back to the brief thing that we were talking about with just overnight success that people give up really quickly. Considering that you are surrounded by ridiculously successful people all the time, what would their like wisdom and your wisdom be on that?
On comparing yourself to others' success, or
Hunger,
or
or the
the
lack
hunger.
of hunger, like the
Yeah,
hustle.
listen, I don't think there's a lack of hunger. I think there's a lack of understanding what it really takes to get what you want.
Oh, okay.
I think like education of like, and that's why we put out work like videos about hard work. I think hard work is part of the equation. I made a film, a Gary Vee. That's my probably second or third Gary Vee film. Is hard work and patience. I think, you know, hard work, man. Hard work is just something I knew all the time. At the age of 13, I started working with my dad in construction, building houses, hardwood floors. From the age of 13 until now, I've always had a job. And so I've always worked. I've always had to work for what I wanted. And so for me, I channeled, hey, I'm doing construction right now at 13, 14, 15. I hate this. This is not what I want to do. And so I always told myself, once I find the thing I want to do, I'm going to spend every goddamn minute on it making it happen. Because I knew that I had to just, it's a choice, you know? At that point, you have to decide that you want to work hard for the thing that you want. And I think, yes, some people right now will put up one TikTok video, they'll get millions of followers, and they'll go batshit crazy, and then they have like a great platform to start. But honestly, like most of the time, those one-hit wonders or those viral sensations are not long lasting. Their careers are often usually up, maybe here, and then they plateau down, because they don't understand the process and the work that it takes to get there. Before I even got to Gary, before I even started working with him, he did 4 years every day putting out a video show, a podcast, Wine Library TV. Monday through Friday, he put out a vlog every single day
Hmm,
on his own. That's 1,000 episodes.
it's crazy.
Most people will quit after 40. And that's before I
Yes.
even get there.
Yeah,
Or like the whole content team and like Team Gary and Vayner begin. This is 1,000 episodes that he did to practice. And then people look at Gary today like, we want 1 million followers on Instagram. Well, go make 1,000 episodes. Go do something for 3 to 5 years straight. And then you might have the chance and the prayer to get to the next step.
yeah,
So that's how I think about hard work. I think a lot of people just don't realize, again, with time and context, they don't know how to contextualize time. Is what I'm saying.
for sure.
They don't know how long it actually takes to make something.
Yeah, exactly. What would your response be to someone telling you it's easier said than done, DRock?
I've done it. I don't think there's anything else to say. Like, and I don't think most successful people have not done the hard work. People look at the famous Vine and YouTube stars. They're pumping out content all the time. They're working on their craft all the time. I don't think people are understanding how much work it takes. A, to put yourself in front of a camera. B, to tell a story. C, to be consistent. D, to be consistent. Like that's truly the answer to easier said than done. It's like the people that done it can say it.
Damn, it's true. That's literally it. Eh? It's kind of like, how bad do you want it? And you
Yeah, and for
can,
me, there was no other choice. Like, right? Like, yes, my ex girlfriend at the time, her aunt. I remember right before I started working with Gary, she was like, "You should go to business school. You should go to like get like a degree in college." And I actually applied to two colleges. I had a tour of two colleges here, Hunter, and I forgot the other one. Where I was actually going to go back to college and try to get a degree in film or business or marketing. And then I remember I got the opportunity with Gary. And this is not, I'm not going to college.
no more.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's amazing how life works as well.
Yeah,
Just,
it's funny. I say often hard work and serendipity
yeah.
play a role in your success, and I really believe in that. I love hard work because naturally feels good for me. I'm cozy. If I'm like, even like last year, I didn't really work as hard because my role was shifting. My job was to follow Gary around. We didn't do any of that, right? So my schedule, my work was a lot lighter, and I feel very uncomfortable. I even told Gary many times, I need more work. I need something to, like, sink my teeth into and work on, because I knew that's what I liked, you know.
Hmm. Exactly. So your first project with Gary was free, correct?
Well, yeah. So it's funny. You'll appreciate this. My buddy and I started a podcast called the Launch and Creative Podcast, and it was to help educate freelancers and young creators to how to make money. Because I had finally learned how to charge. I learned how to do like my bills. I knew how to do taxes. I knew how to do all the stuff that I needed to do as a freelancer. So my buddy and I, and he's a graphic artist, and he was also going through the same process. My buddy Nick, and him and I started a podcast and a blog. We started writing blogs on like how to like save money to do your taxes, how to like charge clients, and then we started interviewing a bunch of entrepreneurs and creatives. And we had like I think 34 episodes at the time. And him and I, he was like, "Yo, there's this guy talking at Columbia University. We should go check him out." I go. This guy walks out in Nikes, jeans, and a sweater and a hat. And he's like, "Yo, I just got off a red eye from London. Here to talk about my new book." And he gave a keynote, and it was Gary Vaynerchuk. And I was like, most of the people that we had interviewed were in suits or business attire. And I was like more like the sneakerhead and like the jean guy. Like, this guy is like my flavor. So that night went on his YouTube, watched as much as I could. He had keynotes. He had like random one-off videos. He would film selfie or with Nate in VaynerMedia, who now runs Empathy Wines. He would film videos back in the day for Gary. Even Andy, who runs VFriends now, occasionally filmed like an iPhone video. And that's all he really had. And I'm a filmmaker, and I was like, "Yo, I could make a really
Mm.
cool film, like cinematic and like energetic
High
and like
quality,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, like kind of stuff I like." And then no response.
I
And
see.
I emailed him, no response. And this is where my hard work and serendipity story comes into play. I had made the most money I'd ever made freelancing one day. And I'm ghetto. I carry the light, tripod, camera. I'm like
Hey,
this,
yeah, same.
walking through the subways, like trying to like get through the turnstiles, and I can't get through. It's like the worst. I remember that's how I got to the job, and I was sweating, like wet. It was raining. I was like, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
So I made the most money. I remember when I charged, and I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna take a cab. I never take a cab. I think I took one a long time ago for no reason. I don't remember. So we took a cab. I took a cab. I put all my stuff in. It's pouring rain out, and I'm on Twitter scrolling. And Gary's like, "Hey, I'm trying out this app called Kik, K-I-K. This is a chatting app back in the day." And it's like Gary if he says, "Hey, I'm trying out TikTok right now," or "Hey, you should go to Quora because I think it's a new platform." Just like that kind of stuff. So I download it right away, make a username. What's so significant about it is that if I take the subway, there's no service back in those days in the subway. There's a little bit more now, but there was no like cell phone service.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have seen a tweet. I
You
wouldn't have been
wouldn't
able to
have them
download
first in line, kind
a
of.
username.
Yeah,
Send him a message. Within minutes, he replies.
of course.
I'm like, "Hey, here's a 1 minute video. I want you to watch it. I can do this for you." He said, "Love it, in, let's go." And so that's when I got the opportunity to film the video. And I was like, "Yeah, of course I'll do it for free." You know? Did the video, followed him around for a day, like what I do now, kind of like just followed him around, had no plan for what the video was. He didn't want to wear a mic. I didn't know what he was like. He was pretty hectic and kind of crazy. He had given a keynote up in like upstate New York that I went to, and on the way up to the keynote, how Gary writes his articles and stuff is he voice records into phone. That audio I was able to use to help tell the story of Clouds and Dirt, and that was my short film that I made for Gary. And then a month I made it for him. He loved it. He started tweeting out individually to people. Like he never does that. Like individually, he would send it to like hey, Mark Cuban, you should watch this. Hey, Ted, you should watch this. Hey, you should watch this.
Wow.
And so then I started building an Excel sheet of like all the people you sent it to, and I started emailing them one off, like, hey, I can do this for you, I can do this for you, I can do this for you.
Shit.
Got 3 jobs off of that
Well,
within the month, and I started to like, hey, set them up. A month later, I'm in the middle of a 72-hour film festival. So it's like hour 50. I have not slept. You get the
red
idea?
eyes, yeah.
You know, write, film, edit, everything in 72 hours. Now I can do that no problem because I've done it 100 times with
I can
Gary.
imagine, yeah.
But I had never done that before, and I was like, you know what? Let me do this. So we did it. Hour 50 or 52. I hear ding ding ding. This is my email, and Gary's like, so dot dot dot. Do you want to come work for me? And then that was just the beginning of. I never wanted to work for like anybody,
Hmm.
but I took a leap of faith, and I'm really glad I did.
Exactly.
You know.
So it was basically just one job that you did, like one gig, nearly.
Yeah, one for Gary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want for Gary. That is something that a lot of people misconstrued about my story. Is like I wasn't working for free,
Okay.
but I offered, and a lot of people don't offer.
Exactly. And that's something that probably, so the concept of working for free is very, very divided, probably right now as well, where it's kind of like there's one person that's like, oh no, everyone has rent to pay, that sort of stuff. And then on the other side, it's kind of like plenty of
I
successful
had rent.
people worked for free.
I had rent.
E-
Yeah, I had rent.
Exactly.
Again, a lot of people are so. When you work for free, you're in control. I'm writing a whole book about working for free. So I'm currently in the process of writing it. When you work for free, you're in control. Hey, Gary, this is what I want to offer you. Can I? For free.
Yeah.
When I'm working on that project, it is because I decided to do it.
That's it.
I can do it on my time. These are the expectations. A lot of people don't manage their own
Yeah.
expectations. They dive head first, and then they're like, "Wait a minute, I'm not getting paid for anything," and then like they think that like that's all their choice was.
Mm.
No, hey, I would like to work for free. I have to work another job because I have to pay my bills. So I'm able to offer these hours and these skill sets.
Do as you may. Exactly. I see.
You're in control. A lot of people again think that if I work for free, they don't decide.
Yeah, I think the argument with working for free for a lot of people is that they have to give up their entire life.
Yeah, amazing. I did too. I didn't go to a movie. I didn't go out. I didn't hang with friends. I did nothing for the first 5 years of my life in New York. You know what I did? I worked. I like hustled. I was like making free videos all the time. Spec videos. Things I just thought were cool. The things that I thought were cool that I did for free actually were the ones that got me the paid jobs. That's like the work I would send to people and be like, hey, I can do this. One of the video I sent Gary was a video I just did on my own for free to make a cool video. That's the thing that got Gary interested in me
And you
doing it.
doing it, yeah. It's that element of control that people kind of forget, where it's like, obviously, there is a situation where there are bad managers around that will.
But again, you don't have to decide. You don't
Bingo.
have to do it.
That's
A
it.
lot of people are in this thing of like, but they want me to do
Yeah.
this. Set
Write
expectations.
write those boundaries down, you know?
You have like any relationship,
Wow. Yeah. I That's it. That's literally it. It's just one.
and you don't have to go work for those managers.
If you do it correctly and work smart.
No, you just don't have to go work for those people. If they're like, hey, we want you to work for free, and they can't work with your terms as well, like you can't find a middle
And
ground,
you're doing it for.
then don't go work with them.
Oh, you have more options.
You're in control.
Yeah, that's lovely, actually. So many people forget that.
Now, I will say I've been a part of a bunch of work where I've offered for free,
Okay.
and they sometimes were the worst clients.
Yeah.
They would like ask for 9 rounds of feedback. At one point, I remember saying this. It was like 8 rounds of feedback, and I was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna give you all the files. Here's all the videos. You can do whatever you want with it. I don't have time anymore to work on this project." Walk away.
Bingo. That's it.
You're in
Yeah,
control.
people really
If
forget
they
that.
want, if they're horrible clients and you're doing it for free, yeah, maybe your reputation with them might not be great. Whatever. Like, there's so many other connections out there. So many other people. Too many people put their eggs in one basket and think, this isn't the opportunity. This isn't the one I have to do. And then they're wildly unhappy because they're not happy in that scenario or situation, whatever
Yeah.
it is. You know?
What do you think about working for exposure? Love
Love.
it. How do
Yeah.
you
If that's what you
Mhm.
want.
And
Yeah.
how do you make sure that you get said exposure? I
Uh, what would, yeah, I mean, listen, this is where, hey, like before anything, you have a conversation, right? And you have back and forth. Hey, this is what I would like. Just like negotiating any salary or any money, like for freelance jobs or exposure, it's all the same. It's all currency, same as you would negotiate any like
For
contract.
sure. And how did you per se avoid burnout?
I don't know if I avoided burnout. I think I definitely burned out a few
Did you
times, and I
flourish
think
in burnout?
what?
Did you flourish in said burnout?
No, I just think that like burnout is a loose term, right? Like I think I was very tired a lot of the time. We worked 19-hour days a lot. We traveled all over the world. Even like recently, I just did a trip where like we flew to Dubai. We landed. We had dinner. We woke up at like 6 o'clock. We finished our dinner at like 1:32 a.m. We woke up at 6. Worked until about 11:30 midnight. 19-20 hour day nonstop. Then woke up the next day, worked again a full day, flew out that night, landed back in LA, worked all through the weekend, and this is like 2 weeks ago. And I think, back in the day we used to do that all the time. Now, like, that was a lot for me, right? Like, I came back home Monday, I was like, it was Valentine's Day, and my girl was like, thankfully, I was very smart. I was like, hey, I know this whole plan is going to happen. Let's make our Valentine's Day Wednesday. And so we did. It was amazing. But I was like, Monday, I was like this, dead. I was like, I couldn't move. So I think burnout like that, I think the burnout that you might be talking about is unhappiness.
Mm,
And I think that's where a lot of people got to reprioritize what they're there for. Hey, you get yourself in a scenario or a job or an environment where you're feeling burnout. You need to pause and ask yourself, hey, why am I here? Am I still aligned with the goals that I want? Are they aligned with the goals that I have and the needs I want? And then if not, have the conversation. And then have the conversation with yourself first and foremost, and then have the conversation with the parties involved. You know,
exactly. It's probably questioning yourself at the time or regularly doing those little check-ins help you out in the long run.
I honestly, probably 3 times a year, I look at myself and be like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you happy? Are you prioritizing? Are you moving forward on your own personal goals? And if not, then I gotta reprioritize. And I make lists, and I'm a big list guy. I even had a list. I gotta get it back on my phone, but I had it on my wallpaper. It was like, these are the things you gotta do every day, and it really helps me. It really helps because again, I'm visual, right? And so, yeah, I think you gotta reprioritize all the time.
For sure. Let's talk about your visualization. So, what keeps you in check throughout the year?
What I just
So,
said
it's
was
just the
kind of it.
lists.
I do three, like, normally it's like after a vacation or after like a really I don't know, on certain flights I just feel like,
Okay.
you know what, let me just
Yeah, I'm
go
floating
through
over
and make a
everyone. Yeah, like we're on
Google
a
Doc.
rock.
I write out a whole Google Doc. Let me see if I have something.
Yeah, sure.
So I can kind of just talk about it now. Yeah. I don't right now. I mean, I have yeah, I don't have anything written down right. Oh yeah, I do. Here we go. Personal life,
Shit.
and then I have work and stuff, and it's like make habits, workout routine, saving money, hot yoga once a week, a spin class once a week. I want to learn Spanish. Have 2 nights to myself where I don't go out or do anything or just be like home. This is like all like this year's, and then I have like work categories, and it'll be like, you know, focus on TikToks for Gary. Um, YouTube Shorts, maybe help rebrand Team Gary Vee. So I have like tasks that might be a little bit bigger, but like all within my to-do list.
All your little to-do
So
list.
I do like I yeah, I break it up in personal and like work.
Okay. At what point in your career over the last decade did you kind of manage to separate your personal life from your work life? Because obviously, at the beginning of your career, especially if you're a freelancer, if
I
you're a
have I
creative,
have the exact I have the exact
go
date.
on.
It was like June 4th, 2020.
Okay, so that's a few months into the pandemic.
Yeah, so well what ended up happening, I had a very strange pandemic. It was like March 17th, my birthday.
Oh.
It was like right then, it was amazing. It was actually a great birthday. Me and my buddy just had like 3 bottles of wine and crushed them all. It was
We can't go
incredible.
outside, it's fine.
He made pasta. It was great. We watched movies. It was awesome. But then uh like a week in, like we're like, okay, this feels like it's gonna be a little while. So we start working on Team Gary Vee content still. We're working. 3 weeks goes by, and we get called into this big project called the All In Challenge. Michael Rubin, who's the CEO of Fanatics and owner of the sports team, hired us to help raise money for people who were hungry throughout COVID. And so from April 15th until about June 5th, I worked Sunday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. every single day. We raised $65 million. We made a ton of videos. It was a very good campaign, but I was working my head off.
Your ass off, like.
Yeah, ass off. And so then after that project, I was able to kind of like go outside a little bit, take a break, walk, and that's when I started to like really implement my own personal priorities.
Okay, so it was like that. It wasn't exactly a life. There was a deadline to this project. Am I assuming correctly?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
our responsibilities ended in like
in June. Yeah.
June-ish. So
Okay.
then, like we still worked on it, but it wasn't as like 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day, Sunday through Saturday. It was more like, oh, you can have your weekends back, Monday through Friday, and then it became like 8 to 8, and then 8 to 4, like then less hours,
Hmm.
as time goes
Yeah.
on.
What did you learn from those 2 months?
Of the
All
like
in
that
challenge. Yeah.
type of work.
Yeah, that type of work.
Um, just scaling ourselves. Started off with 5 of us, and then it became like 45 of us all working on this
It's
project.
crazy.
And then it was cool to see like everybody being able to work remotely. I think that's been like one of the most beautiful things about COVID. Knock on wood for everything that bad has happened, but like I think the ability to be able to have more work-life balance. Like I remember before COVID, it was like you gotta do your laundry on the weekends. You gotta like, meal prep on like Sunday. And so like your whole weekend was like preparing yourself to be able to work all week efficiently. And so now I think, oh, I can pop off and do my laundry in the middle of the day because I have Zoom hangouts or I'm working from home. There's not that hour commute to work, an hour back. I think perspective of work-life balance in a way.
Exactly, for sure. I want to go back a little bit on the whole working for free because you are writing a book about that.
Yeah.
With your writing experience so far, anyways, like all the knowledge that you're gathering right now, what is like the main finding or like the one thing that actually surprised you from researching on working for free?
What's initiative?
Elaborate.
I think a lot of people want a lot of things, and they look and we're constantly in the feed of success, right? And you constantly see you're always like, oh my God, there's this going on, there's this festival, I'm missing this, I'm doing this, and I think a lot of people just want that quicker, and so they try to find quick routes to get there. I believe in strategic working for free for exposure, for someone that you want to be like, someone that you aspired, even though like, hey, I didn't want to be Gary, but I liked him and his journey. I liked what he was doing, And through that, I've learned how to become a pretty good marketer. Right, I've learned certain skills over time. And I knew that he wanted to get into IP, which is intellectual property, help build out VFriends. These are all things I wanted to do. I've always wanted to like make the next Harry Potter or Hunger Games or Legos. Like I've always wanted to be a part of that, and I found out very early on that Gary did too. So that helped me stay there longer and work harder. And even though we weren't working for free, we were getting like base salaries. Like barely able to make it in New York kind of stuff. Um, and I think so. I think working for free, people need to take the initiative to get the opportunity, and then once they get the opportunity, they got to take the initiative in the opportunity to actually make it the thing that they need it to be and like
I
deliver
see.
on it. Right?
Wow. And you're only going to learn, I'm guessing, once you throw yourself in there.
Yeah. I don't know. How about this? What's one of the biggest things that you're scared of for working about for free? I'm gonna flip it back on you.
I've done it before, but I didn't
Yeah.
do it in any educated way. So I got, you kind of already said it, I just got like kicked off my ass when it came to bad managers. And I got stuck in a situation of just, like, I like to commit. I like to meet my deadlines. I am like one of those people where it's like, no, fucking get it done. But
Yeah.
then I was just being like taken for a ride. Um,
How about this? What was the initial? How did you get yourself into that?
Free internship.
For what company? For I mean, you don't have to name that, but like, what was the opportunity that they presented you? Free internship,
Um, the upward.
credit for school
N-
they gave you, or
no, it was free. Sorry, wait, let me go back a little bit. Free internship, 8 weeks, and it was with a potential employment that never happened, obviously. And promise, like startup kind of thing. So promise the world and all these investors,
right?
which failed. The startup
Yeah.
didn't fail. I was like, it was probably the best. I'm one of those people where like I have to learn my lesson a good few times until I understand. Like I red flags don't exist in my eyes. They're all fucking white.
Yeah.
Like I'm colorblind when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah, you're optimistic,
I'm
and you're
very
like,
optimistic, unfortunately, and I believe in people.
I, I don't think. Again, all the things that you're saying are right. Optimism is good. Practical optimism is more good.
Yeah.
I think that's where, like, as you are gonna get more experience, and that's the benefit of working for free.
Mm,
Listen, there's a lot of things right now. Gary says, "Hey, bro, like, I love you. I can't film anymore. There's no role here or anymore." That would never happen, but hey, you're not hired anymore. I would offer myself for free for four more people that I really want to work for.
there you go. And
I would try to like be like Kanye's other
for
videographer. I
sure,
would try to be
yeah,
Drake's other
definitely.
videographer. I would try to be Jeff Bezos' other videographer. Just because uh for free, I would just go download any piece of content they had and make a mini doc. I would spend that time and be like, hey, like I really want to do this for you. Let me have the opportunity. And obviously might not be able to get those, but I would spend my time trying to aim really high like that. Because I think it's there is nothing better than getting an offer for free.
Yeah. I really appreciate the education that you're giving over here because, like, these little nuggets of understanding, listen, you're in control. Offer it on a project basis, aka don't be someone's bitch.
Or offer to be someone's bitch, but in the contract that
Okay.
you have,
Yeah.
say, hey, you guys are gonna promise me a network of
Yeah.
investors or startup people. I need to see the like mid internship. I need to see the
Oh,
list.
I see.
I need you to deliver this by this time.
Boom.
I only can do this much.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And you
Setting
just,
boundaries
and you go
and
from there,
expectations.
for sure.
Yep.
I'm loving it. Now, let's switch it a little bit. If an entrepreneur over here is listening and goes, I don't have the money to pay anyone right now.
Mhm.
How do I find someone to work for me for free?
Yeah, I would go on Craigslist or LinkedIn or Twitter or Instagram, and I would just tap into all my networks and post about it.
Yeah. And you
You
go
know?
like, sorry, this is unpaid.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see a problem with that. That's happening every day. If you go on Craigslist right now, there's a ton of unpaid
I
opportunities.
see. Maybe it's a European thing.
No, they're
Or
out there. I actually think in Europe though you're not allowed to do free work full time.
something like that. I'm
But
sure
maybe
the
if you
EU is
put out a
stricter.
project based collaboration or you know.
Yeah. And I'm guessing then they offer whatever they can offer in terms of opportunities, hustle, that sort
Yeah.
of thing. Unfortunately, it is one of those things where they,
Legally
yeah,
cannot.
legally, but also I find it strange sometimes when really big companies go, we will pay said creative and exposure. Yet they're clearly like making bank. So
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they're doing. They're offering opportunity and experience, and it doesn't matter. You know, it. No matter how Gary makes a lot of money, doesn't mean he won't take free work.
true, exactly. Yeah.
You know, I don't. There's no. Everyone can do whatever they want to do.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate over here with you. Like,
I know, but in the realistic world, like in real life
yeah,
talk, they can offer whatever they want, and they can ask for whatever they want.
it's kind of
You
like,
don't have
yeah,
again, you, the person on the other end, doesn't have to go there or work for them. You're in control.
yeah.
It's accountability. Gary talks about it a lot. Being accountable to yourself. Hey, why would I spend any of my time trying to understand why that company would offer a free for exposure when they're legally allowed to do whatever the fuck they want to do? I don't have enough time in the day to worry about why they're doing that versus just going to try to find the other 9 billion other opportunities.
I see.
You know,
Yeah. Wow. No, that is
there's
true.
just not enough time in the day to like care.
Yeah. So probably a lot of people do have quite a chunk of time to get lost into that narrative. Yeah, unfortunately, where
Oh, people do it. People do it every day. They complain about why is it snowing or why is this truck late? People always find a way to complain.
how did you were you always like snapped out of it?
No, I definitely like through my process over the years have learned that. I grew up again from a very like we my family was okay. We're not like poor. We had a house. My mom and dad worked. My mom didn't work. My dad worked. My mom homeschooled us. So she always instilled like positive virtues. And like I remember like I had like these posters and like a lion and it had like courage and like an elephant that had like empathy or something like that. It was like I was always around these things. And then, I would always listen to motivational things. I always wanted to write, so like, I was always writing things. Like I was always more that person, anyways. But I remember this one moment that I'll tell you because it kind of ties into everything. I watched this one video on YouTube. It was a mashup of Will Smith talking about success, and it was like nine rules of success by Will Smith. It was some fan video. Someone had taken like 9 different interviews, put it together. I found that video when I was like 16 or 15, and I watched it every single day for probably a year, and then I would occasionally pick it up once in a while, just like as motivation. Um, that video changed my life. That video was like the thing that was like, oh, I can do this. I have. He has one quote, like if we get on the treadmill together, I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna stay on the treadmill, or you're gonna die. I mean, I'm gonna die. Like it just like his work ethic and his belief of work inspired me to work hard. And I think I just looked up to him always, and I loved his movies. I always wanted to make a movie like 7 Pounds or Pursuit of Happiness. Those are like some of my favorite movies. So like he always like had that motivational thing to me. Watch that video, I was like, man, if I can make a video like this that changes somebody's life, I can wrap it up, die, and be happy. At this point, I made
Sorry.
thousands of those
Yeah.
videos, and I'm pumped because I think, again, like for me, I'm truly happy. If I die tomorrow, I left my impact on this world. Um, but I think, what was the original question?
Oh, were you always like a
Oh, yeah.
positive?
So I think, yes, I think I always took a lot of those positive things. But even now, like I would film and edit Gary's videos, right? And so I'm hearing it all the
You are,
time.
yeah,
I'm constantly listening to it, constantly auditing myself. I definitely think I judge myself a little bit too much, and so I'm teetering that line over the last 2 years. I've been working on that. But yeah, just constantly working on it. I think, like anything, like this year is like my first real health year in the gym. Like I'm really like accomplishing things, and I really want. Like I'm seeing stuff, and I'm like, yes. But this is like the first time where I've like really been able to be consistent and regimented and like focused on it. And I think the same for your mentality. Your mentality, you have to constantly work on it. Some people are blessed where they don't think a lot about things or like they don't overjudge themselves, but a lot of people they need to put in time to like work on their mental. And it's okay. And you're starting to see more conversations of mental health. A lot more of this stuff is coming out just because education is becoming easier. There's 1,000 podcasts on it. There's apps on it. There's like articles, essays, videos. You just gotta spend time and work on it and prioritize it.
for sure. And if someone wants to create that life worth living, where can they start? Like, what is your recommendation to them?
Listen, I'm gonna go back. I've met so many people like throughout the world. I've seen homeless people in Africa being happy as hell, and they have a life worth living. I think everyone had like let's break it down a little bit. Everyone has a life worth living. I think again, everyone has a life worth living, but I think most people don't recognize that they have one life. And I think understanding that, having perspective, like if you're in a really bad place, like mentally, or you're like not pumped about where you are, or just like you need something different, I would challenge you to go travel and go see the other parts of the world that are less fortunate than yours. And then when you come home and you have water that pours out of your tap and it's clean enough to drink, you tell me how to have a life worth living because it is. I can't complain about stuff. Water is. We have water. I'm sure you have water. You just go and get water out of your tap. A lot. 8 billion, 8 million people don't.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
a lot of people that don't have clean water. And like, if you really go look at living situations that are like not. I have 4 walls. I have like conditioning and heating and clothes and it's. We're super on. We don't have a good perspective.
For sure.
You
Yeah.
know.
It's one of those things where someone always has it worse off than you. And people might be,
But
yeah,
understanding where you rank in the world
is
is a big. For me, it impacted me when we went to Africa for Pencils of Promise with Gary, because he's on the board. Pencils of Promise is like a donation thing where they help build schools in Africa. So we went on a trip for like a week, and it's just you can't help but get your mind fucked when a kid is literally smiling in your face and they have nothing but dirt. And it's like, like I stand next to a girl who will yell at a barista because they don't have oat milk. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's just that. And I think, again, that's why I get along with Gary so much. We will sit on the airport floors. We will be dirt of dirt. We don't care about the things that like come along with the journey. And I think it's cool to find someone like that. Um, Another thing, a big thing that we didn't address at all, really auditing who you're hanging out with and what you're spending and who you're spending your time with. For me, I experiment on myself. I'm listening to Gary all the time, so I'm like constantly like auditing myself as well. And the big one for me was I've always been a part of like, if this person's not giving me good energy, I'm out. I just separate myself. There's friends from high school, friends from college, just no longer, or friends from 2 years ago that I met that I'm like, don't need to spend as much more time with that person because of where their mindset's at. They don't want to change. They're just gonna be negative, you know?
Yeah, literally.
Really, just spend time on like auditing your circle of like who you listen to is a very, very big deal.
For sure. I've gotten picked on so many times for like people like to say that I can be quite cold because I am like that. I'm just like, if you're not helping me out, just out. Like,
Yep.
but it was so interesting. I'll ask this question to you because I know that people will be listening to this, but along my podcasting journey that has been very short, I've grown so much already. How does someone create that circle of solid people around them?
Yeah, and listen, like I finally have that circle. Like I'm really pumped, but it really came together in the last year. Like again, I think too many people will look around and go, oh, they have a great circle of friends. They have a great. I think it's just picking up one person at a time and constantly involving them in your life. It's like any relationship or anything that you're like focused on. You got to put time and effort into it. And I think that,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
time and effort and energy and intent.
Yeah. And look, like loneliness in your 20s can be a thing. Like,
Oh my
as
god!
in,
Again, I'm 30 now.
yeah,
Again, my friend circle is tight now. I'm 30. I'm about to be 31 in a week or two. So like it's now starting. But again, people have a hard time contesting time. 31, I have 70 more years. You know? Like there's now I have friends that I'm gonna like really build with in a positive way. People will stick with negative people for 4 or 5 years, not really realizing what that's doing with their life. You know, constantly being around negativity or people that like will naysay or like complain or be gossip about other people, put that in your head too, and then you start to become that person.
for sure.
You
And
know?
it happens very
I
quickly.
think loneliness in your 20s is fine. Spend that time working on yourself. Put your head down. Again, I didn't work. I didn't do stuff in my 20s. I lost a lot of my 20s. I'm okay with that because I feel really good about 30s and like then it's just gonna keep building and compounding. You know.
Last one before you go. What does clouds and dirt mean to you, considering it's your first project?
That's a great ending question. Did you have that planned out, or you kind of?
No.
That's a great ending question. For everyone listening, Clouds and Dirt was the first film I made for Gary. Clouds to him was ambition and drive, meaning the clouds, like what's the purpose, and then the dirt is putting in the work. And I think that's the same for me. I will always have my list of like, hey, I want to write a action TV show. Hey, I want to have a children's book out. Hey, I want to write the next Harry Potter. Hey, I want to write my book, work for free. I think that stuff will always be up here, and then what I've gotten better at by reading a bunch of different books, Essentialism by Greg McOwen, minimalization of what to focus on in your life. Atomic Habits. I don't
I
remember the
still have
author's
to read
name.
that, yeah. Uh-huh.
It again, that's what made me like get into these micro
Okay.
habits every day. Audited myself probably last spring. Was like, yo, you're not where you want to be. You have a lot of these ambitions, but none of these projects are like coming to life. So I got to spend time on them. I started making like I have a fashion brand I'm working on. I have to design something every single day.
Boom.
I have to drink a gallon of water. I have to go to the gym every single day. Like these are now micro atomic habits that micro habits that I don't think about. So that's the dirt work.
I see.
Figuring out your system to maximize your time is the dirt work, and then the clouds is the ambition.
Okay. Perfect ending. Like, we're just gonna leave it here, DRock. We can keep on going for ages. Thank you so much.
I would. It would be fun. I appreciate you, and thank you. You did a great job.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for listening.
Number Days Collective.